All right, welcome into hour two. We'll just keep rolling with this. Again, the chat's lit up. Everybody seems to like this conversation. I think it is one we need to have. I hope we put out that disclaimer. This is what the show is going to be today. We're thinking ahead a little bit because there's nothing to talk about today. I told before you got on the air, Tim, I said we spent an hour and 40 minutes breaking down the loss of the Vikings. It's okay to talk a little bit about this coming off season. You know what I mean? Mike Every with the super chat says, comes down to, do you trust 23 to be healthy? That's it. And it's such a hard thing to predict. It really is. That's why I think the contract, if you're going to stay with Ja, the contract should be adjusted, give him a little bit more guaranteed money, shave a good chunk off of the salary cap, the overall value, and maybe you throw a couple incentives in that restructure that, hey, if he is on the field, he's going to get paid like a top cornerback. If he's not, we're protected. I just don't see him in his representation doing all of that, right? Why would he? You know? So, but again, the majority of the guaranteed money is gone now with Jair's contract. If you just got rid of him outright, you're freeing up $6 million in cap space this year. So there's no longer you're upside down in that acquisition.
I just don't see that being a likely thing, though. Do you think they're just going to cut him just to save the money and not get anything?
I don't see that either, Tim.
Yeah.
I think there would be a long, healthy negotiation to free up, $2-3 million in cap and keep him on the roster because he's that valuable, as opposed to just cutting him outright and freeing up $6. That's kind of how I see it. But I could be wrong, man. Hey, day one of the offseason, he may be gone. We don't know, right? They could also watch them extend him.
Yeah, right.
Give him a 2-year extension, a little bit more guaranteed money, and they just double down on it. I wouldn't be surprised there either. Mike, thank you for the super chat, buddy. As far as it coming down to you trust that he's healthy or not, that's the tough question, man. There's no way of knowing. J-Dome in the chat says, I believe Jason Wilde asked Jair if he had a minute to talk, and Josh said he had to go. Dodging questions, I guess. Okay.
Dodging Wilde, probably more realistic.
And listen, I like Wilde. I try to watch their show every day. I know a lot of fans, he rubs them the wrong way, and I get it. But, what Tim said right there, some of the way that the reporting happens, and I don't want to go too deep into this, but I can understand why players go, I don't want to talk. So
maybe John just figured, go ahead and start asking your question, and I'll pop back tomorrow when you get around to your question, and then I'll be able to talk to you.
Yeah. And again, I don't want to turn it to a Wildy roast fest, but he definitely asked a long question. And I feel like we're not out of line even mentioning it because
no, and we're not picking on Wildy. There's plenty of media members that those guys probably feel the same way about, right?
Yeah. Mark Tauscher gives him hell over the length of his question. So if Mark's doing it, I just feel like it's at least okay to mention it, right? Let's see here. Drew D says, well, we'd save the $16 million from 2025 and $18 million from the 2026 base pay as well. Yeah, Drew, one thing I've noticed about you and I, we look at the salary cap a little different every year. I look at, when we have these conversations, I know there's a post-June 1 aspect as well. I like to keep things very simple and just say, okay, how much are we saving if he's not on the roster? Because to me, it's not about what can we free up in the future. That cap space in the future doesn't make a hill of beans to me. Like, we know, let me give you an example. And I know you didn't do this, Drew. I'm just talking about people in general. Yeah, and there's a couple on Twitter that think they're the God's gift to salary cap analysis, and they're the ones that are salary cap doom and gloomers until all of a sudden the next league year hits, and then they kick that doom and gloom until the next year, right? And that just drives me crazy. 2 years ago, it was, we got to clean up this cap space. We got to clean up this mess. We got $62 million or whatever it is in cap space. It's not going to be that big of a number. It's probably going to be closer to 40 by the time we get to the offseason. And then again, even at that point, you're probably not going to spend more than 20. So it's not as huge as you think, but still, you can make the cap work. The question, this is what Ted Thompson says. It's kind of like the draft too, Tim. When they drafted Clay Matthews, they had to trade up and get Clay Matthews. They went and I can't remember who he was talking to within his front office, but he says, yeah, I want to make that trade. And they're like, well, it's going to be hard to make that trade. And Ted looked at him and said, I want the player. That's what he said. And the guy, okay, we'll get it done. So they got the trade done. So it's all about putting the best product on the field, period, case closed. So when you're looking at, 2 years out, a year and a half out, that's not helping your roster right now. You're thinking, well, we need to free up that cap space on down the road. If you've got a legit Super Bowl contender, I'm totally cool with that mindset. But for me personally, it's about this year. You're going to be fine next year. I don't even know how much cap space we got next year. It probably drops down with the Jordan Love contract inflating a bit, but put the best 22 on the field that you possibly can. But under the guidelines of you never overpay for good. You can overpay for great, but you never overpay for good. Period.
Yep. And keep in mind that like we always talk about that 20 to 25 million or whatever that Goody likes to keep, on the table. He likes to have that little wiggle room cap space too that you have to account for. So there's multiple ways to approach it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. J Dome said a follow up. Jair engaged Wildy first. They were chatting. Then when Jason asked if he had a minute, Josh suddenly had to go. So he was nice to Wildy. I'm glad you specified that because that did make it kind of sound like he was like.
Where is this coming from though? Like, J Dome, can I borrow your media credentials? I want to get in. I want to get in the building.
This is coming from Wildy because he did mention this on his show.
Oh, Wildy said that he was talking with Jock. Got it.
Yeah,
okay.
This all happened that way.
I thought J Dome was like our inside connect.
So no, he's obviously been watching Wildy and Tash, and again, I've usually got stuff like that on the background, so I'll catch bits and pieces, and the chat keeps me informed. It's absolutely awesome. All right, let's see.
That's exactly what we were talking about, though, right? They were chatting, and all of a sudden, Jair was like, "You know what? I gotta go."
They were probably having a good conversation. Like, "Hey, man, you got a minute to talk about?" Hell no, I'm out.
Nope, sorry, I can't do that. See ya.
Yeah, because he did that before, and he got kind of got in trouble here.
Yep.
Let me mark that when we come back to it. He said, J Dome says, follow up. Wildy mentioned it on Wildy and Tal show. There you go. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Thanks, Jay. You're the man. Love it.
All right. I love this conversation, man. Everybody's lighting the chat up. This is great. Joyce Martha said, is Myles Garrett or Max Crosby a 3-tech? They are not. Now, listen, Myles Garrett's good enough. He could probably play anywhere.
He could probably play there, but yeah.
If you put 10 pounds on Myles Garrett, throw him in a 3-tech, I would be totally cool with that. It's just now we're getting into kind of fantasy football, right,
yeah.
Joyce? It's like now we're
Crosby's more of an edge, right?
Yeah, Crosby I would never see as a 3-tech. Yeah. He's tall, lean. He's one of those guys that hearing Brian Bulaga and Mark Tauser talk about, man, I would hate to have to block that dude. He's just kind of built. He's almost built like a basketball player, and they were like, man, those are the toughest guys because they got the reach. And when you got 3 or 4 pass rush moves to go with it, it's an absolute nightmare. You got to be prepared to anchor for the bull rush, but man, they will put you on your face with a tug, rip and pull and all that stuff. And, it sounds like in my opinion, he's more of an edge rusher than Myles Garrett, but both of them are edge rushers. They're defensive ends. I do think Myles Garrett could handle 3-tech. It's just not ideal, but Myles Garrett's one of those players that's, some would say he's a generational talent, right? Yep. If you told me, Clayton, we're not going to go get you a 3-tech, but we're going to get Myles Garrett to line up opposite Rashawn Gary, I would say deal, or as the kids say, bet, right?
Yeah,
because
the question is, does Cleveland want a corner?
It would be so stupid.
You trade Jair and bring in Myles Garrett.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like these teams, if they've got a good general manager, and they look at things the same way that like Bill Belichick looks at them, they're not looking to just part ways with a Myles Garrett, right? I know his name's been mentioned a lot. Maybe they will. I don't know. But they've got such a mess up there with the Deshaun Watson thing. If he's not going to play like a top quarterback, they are screwed for at least 2 or 3 more years. Yeah. But a very, very good question there, Joyce. To answer your question again, Myles Garrett, I think you'd have to beef him up a little bit. Max Crosby, definitely not, will be my answer. And I could be wrong, but that's just kind of how I see that. Drew D says, can we extend McManus already, please?
Yeah, let's talk about the serious contract stuff here. Let's get this guy signed. Give McMoney his money.
And then here's what we're going to do when we do sign him. We're going to let him kick a field goal. We're going to say, go out there and kick. I'm completely on board, Drew. He's shown enough. Now, listen, based off of how well he's played this year, maybe it's a perfect storm and those numbers are going to come back down next year. Could be. You got to be prepared for that. You could extend him. He drops under 90% field goal percentage. You got to accept that. But I think gone are the days, if you do re-sign McManus, of missing the extra points, missing those chip shots inside the 40. You're going to miss 1 out of 10, probably, right? That's going to happen. But what else can you ask for? When you're inside the 50, 1 out of 10, like that 40 to 50 range. But inside 40, count it. Done, So, yeah.
And the occasional 55-yarder too. Let's not forget.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a boot when he wants to and when we need him to.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. Packer Scheme said, what about LVN speed to power playing inside, or do we just use Jair to trade up like a package? Yeah, as far as LVN playing inside, I think he could do it. I think his skill set would suit him there because he does have that raw strength. He's got quickness on those TT stunts. You might beef him up a touch to put him on the inside, but I just don't think they're going to do it. I think they're set on they want him to play edge. Maybe that changes in the offseason, right? That's the other thing, too, that, again, we're identifying the pass defense is probably the weakest spot on this team. It doesn't mean it's horrible. Like I said, they're kind of middle of the pack when it comes to that. But also, this is the first full year for Hafley to evaluate. Like we were talking about how we handle the offseason, right, and how we're going to approach this offseason like every other. Hafley came in, was hired, immediately watched the tape of all of his players, and gave feedback to LaFleur and Goody, like, here are the players I like. Here's what I like about this. Keyshawn was one that he said, really like that dude, like the tape. Let's keep him. I feel like that's worked out pretty good. And then also you got to think now you've got a full year of tape of them doing what you're asking them to do. How did they adapt to what you asked them to do? How did they adjust on the fly when we're put in a situation where we got to change things up? And now you got a true evaluation where he can go back to Goody and go, yeah, here are my key pieces. Maybe 3 or 4 of these guys we can do without them. That could be the case. And who knows? Maybe this is the year we see those rare cuts where a player that played a significant role last year just gets cut outright and the Packers move on. It's been a while since that's happened.
Yeah.
One I think it was like Josh Sitton back in the day. That was so weird. They just cut him. It was like,
yeah,
So
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that probably was the last time that happened, I think.
Yeah, definitely. All right, man. Let's see what else we got here. Let's do this since we're in this vein here. Again, just wanted to kind of really, if you haven't noticed, I wanted to talk it over with the other fans. Like, what are you guys thinking? Even on Twitter. And listen, I know Twitter, there's a good portion of these votes right here that aren't even Packer fans. They're going, what would be the stupidest vote? Let's vote.
Yeah.
That happened. But when you get in here, and we've got, I don't know how many people we got watching, 77 here on YouTube, and we got 248 on Twitter watching. When you do this poll question, I feel like it gets a little bit accurate depiction of kind of the fans that are in here, on a consistent basis. And cornerback has closed the gap now. Defensive tackle, 46%, cornerback, 37%, defensive end, 15%, linebacker, 2%. So that's how the poll sits right now. So as of right now, we're still defensive tackle, corner, building our needs going into the offseason. So let's this is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up too, is today, guys, if you're not a college football fan, you want a reason to watch college football today, holy cow. Obviously, Penn State beat the brakes off Boise State last night. Boise State had the best running back in college football in Gianti, who's probably going to be going to the draft. I'm pretty sure he's eligible this year. He'll be entering the draft. But tonight, this is kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit, make it a little easier. I don't know if I can or not, Tim. Let me try here. Oh, looky here, boy.
Here's the guy.
Technological advancements. All right, so obviously last night, that game between Penn State and Boise State in the college football playoff, Penn State won that game. Today at 1 p.m., actually, coming up here in just a couple hours, you're going to have Texas and Arizona State. So it's the number 5 seed against the number 4 seed. That's going to be on ESPN. All right. Then you've got in the 5 o'clock window, 5 Eastern time, Ohio State and Oregon is going to be a dandy. That should be really good. And then for the nightcap, you've got my Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Georgia Bulldogs going at it there as the number 7 seed and the number 2 seed. Oregon is the 1 seed. Ohio State is the lowest ranking remaining seed at 8, with Notre Dame coming in right behind them at 7. So there's going to be some good football. And the reason I wanted to mention this is because there's going to be a lot of players here that are going to be entering the draft that's going to be playing in these games, right?
Yep. Let's keep an eye on that Texas defense, shall we?
Exactly. So one of the things I did, and we're going to pop it up on the screen here in a second because we're pretty much done with Twitter after this, was I went through and kind of looked at the consensus big board, and the guy that's getting mocked to the Packers right now, and listen, guys, it's early. It's so freaking early. The chances of this happening is highly unlikely, but it just lined up with kind of what I'm looking at, what the Packers should do. Ohio State defensive lineman, I'll probably screw it up, Tyleek Williams, if I'm saying that right, is currently being mentioned as a potential draft target for the Green Bay Packers. Okay, so obviously it's this big boy right here. He is a monster. On the consensus big board, he's in the number 32 spot. He peaked at 25. Right now, his projection is number 24 with the Packers. Again, a lot of football left. We could go on and win the whole damn thing and be picking dead last. I hope that happens, right? Here is his PFF look here, if you could see this. I don't know if you can or not. So I like to look at the yearly grades. What I'm looking for is consistency. I'm looking for ceiling. Don't get me wrong. I want a guy in the 90s. But when you see a consistent grade like this, 2021, starting in 2021, 75.4, 80.9, 77.6, 78.5. Solid player there, right? And again, that's just what the consensus big board has us looking at right now. The reason I mentioned that, Ohio State's playing today, 5 p.m. The only reason to watch college football, as long as he's not hurt, I don't know enough about Ohio State. Do a little research, see if he's actually playing in the game, all that good stuff. But those are the type of players you're looking for on these teams. So
thick.
Yeah, there's a couple of these. Yeah, Philip Ruth, thick. He. There you go. Because again, what was his? Yeah, 6'3", 327, Tim.
Yeah, let's keep an eye and see where he's playing.
Yeah,
exactly. Play a little 3-tech and let's keep an eye out for it.
Bingo. So, with that being said, let's jump over to the consensus big board and see if we can match up some prospects that might potentially be playing today here in the college football playoff. Let's just go all first, all right? And let's look at the overall board. And again, this is the consensus big board. It doesn't mean this is accurately depicting which players are best.
Doesn't mean we're doing a mock draft this morning.
No, it does not, Tim. We're definitely outside of mock draft season. I'm going to fight that as long as I can, for sure. I like mock drafts too, but they lose their flair when you do.
Yeah, we'll try not to do 600 of them like we did last year, right?
Exactly. Number one Packer fan said PTA needs to sponsor a bowl game. LOL. The PTA Cheddar Bowl.
I like it.
Yeah. It'd be the PTA Sucky Bowl is what it would be, right?
That bowl game would be played in a parking lot near you. With our budget, right?
You missed this too, Tim, when I got started earlier today. I told everybody Jacob probably won't be in here. He's probably laid up somewhere like this right now. You know what I mean?
Oh, my gosh.
Right there. I had to get the freeze frame just right, too, man, with he's licking his lips. You gotta love that stuff. And
give me a heads up before you do stuff like that, Clayton.
If you ever want to use that one, Tim, it's tabbed under Sexy Kicker. All right, there you go. So just so you know. All right, here we go. Consensus big board. Number 1, Shadir Sanders, quarterback, Colorado. Number 2, cornerback, Travis Hunter from Colorado. Obviously, teammates. Travis Hunter won the Heisman. They've got Shadir going number 2 to the Titans and Travis Hunter going number 1 to the Patriots. I know Boston Connor on the McAfee show is excited about that. He wants Travis Hunter real bad. Cam Ward, quarterback from Miami. You're talking about a guy who just rose through the ashes and really helped his draft stock this year. He's had a hell of a year. He's the 3rd best prospect. Abdul Carter, edge defender from Penn State. You got Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan. His teammate, Mason Graham, defensive lineman from Michigan. And then you got Tataria McMillan. That's one of the players that one of our listeners said they really liked. He's a wide receiver from Arizona. Will Campbell, offensive tackle from LSU. And then Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle from Texas. And then number 10, Mikael Williams, edge defender from Georgia. Those are your top 10. Now, since we've talked needs here, Tim, you feel comfortable saying defensive tackle and cornerback are the 2 positions we've talked about the most, right?
Yep.
So let's hit it real quick. Let's see what the defensive line looks like. So when I say ranking, guys, this is where they're at on the big board. Number 6, Mason Graham, defensive lineman. These are all defensive linemen from Michigan. Number 18, Kenneth Grant from Michigan. Got to be careful when you got 2 teammates. Is one making the other look better, right? Because he's drawing attention. You got to really go look at the tape, try to find that information and make sure that one dude isn't winning just because he's always in single matchups because his teammates drawing attention away. That's what happened with Rashawn Gary and Chase Winovich. PFF said Chase Winovich was going to be hands down the better pro than Rashawn Gary. Winovich is out of the league. Gary's one of the highest paid edge defenders in the game. So number 24, Shamar Stewart from Texas A&M. Number 25, Walter Nolan, defensive lineman from Mississippi. Number 30, Derek Harmon from Oregon. So remember, you got Oregon playing today, right? Look for Derek Harmon going against Ohio State and that solid running game they've got there, right? So look for him. Defensive lineman, Derek Harmon for Oregon. Then there's Tyleek Williams right behind him. So how about that, man? You want a reason to watch Ohio State and Oregon today? at 5 p.m. Eastern kickoff, so 4 p.m. Lambeau time. Go watch the two defensive tackles here for Oregon and with Derek Harmon and Tyleik Williams with Ohio State. That's going to be a lot of fun. Every snap of that game, you should have one of those guys on the field if one of them's not injured. If you guys know in the chat, fire away so we're not misleading anyone if they're not going to be playing in this game because of injury. But if they're both on the field, I'm going to sit down with a daddy soda and watch that one, Tim. It's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
And
do a little scouting today.
Yeah. You got my boy Deion Walker out of Kentucky. He peaked at 16. He's currently sitting at 41. TJ Sanders from South Carolina. You got Omar Norman Lott from Tennessee. Shamar Turner from Texas A&M in the 65 spot. Jordan Birch from Oregon. So there's another defensive lineman on Oregon's team, Tim. Jordan Birch. Might want to write that one down right there. Defensive lineman from Texas, Alfred Collins. He's in the 71 spot. He peaked at 60. And we'll just go top 100 and we'll end it there. You've got DeMonte Capehart from Clemson at number 89. And then let's throw in Nazir Stackhouse because he peaked at 87. He's sitting at 111. That's for Georgia there. So Georgia will be playing Notre Dame tonight. So you got a lot of players.
That's going to be a great game, Georgia, Notre Dame.
I hope so, man. You know, in the past, I live in the South, so I know how powerful the SEC's been for so long. In the past, it's like, man, does Notre Dame stand a chance against the SEC team? I feel like they probably got a shot.
They might have a chance this year.
And I think they've got their backup quarterback playing too. Georgia does, if I remember correctly. So you got to focus on stopping the run. Notre Dame's defense is solid, man. They really are. And if you look here, there's no Notre Dame players until 119 at Howard Cross. Now he peaked at 70. Might want to
look at the D lineman too.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, I'm trying to think of the defensive lineman for Notre Dame that got hurt. You guys probably know it in the chat. It's escaping me right now. But Will Cross was hurt before, and that dude stepped up to the plate and really covered. Now he got hurt, and Riley, not Riley Leonard, that's the quarterback. Riley Mills, I believe it is. He got hurt, and now it's Howard Cross's turn to kind of, hey, you got to go in there and anchor this defense. So Howard Cross is one to watch in the night game for sure. So there's your defensive lineman. Anything you want me to scroll to here, Tim? Anything you want to hit it on the defensive lineman here?
No, I think that's a good bird's eye view here, right? Good first glance.
All right. So
we'll get more in depth as we go, right?
Yeah, definitely. Got a few prospects to hit there. Now let's go to cornerback since that was the other need. On Twitter, they seem to think corner was more important than defensive tackle. And, of course, on our poll question here, it was the second most. If it'll load up here, it is spinning. Boy, I got this thing humming today. Let me close a couple tabs out here, see if that helps. There we go. All right, so obviously, we'll go overall rank. It's in the order of these players. Number 2, Travis Hunter. Number 5, Will Johnson. Number 20, Siobhan Revel Jr. Those are your top 3 corners as it sits right now. Travis Hunter with Colorado, they're not playing today. Will Johnson with Michigan, they're not playing today. East Carolina, damn sure ain't playing today with Siobhan Revel Jr. And then you got Benjamin Morrison. Now, Benjamin Morrison's been hurt all year. I don't think he's healthy. I want to say he's still out for the year for Notre Dame. I haven't followed too closely here lately. Like I said, I'm kind of a casual college football fan. I just get really interested this time of the year. But Benjamin Morrison at 26, see if he's playing or not. If he is, obviously you want to check him out, but I'm almost positive he's out for the year. Drew D did confirm that was Riley Mills. Good deal. Appreciate it, man. Somebody do a quick check. Benjamin Morrison's out, right? He's out for the year, if I remember correctly. If somebody will just do a check for us there. And Tim, if you'll help keep an eye on the there you go. J. Cole says Siobhan Revel is out as well. Yes, he is. They are not playing today, obviously, East Carolina. And that's the thing, like the beautiful thing about the playoffs, you typically get the starters playing in the playoffs. The bowl, sometimes you get those guys that are going to the draft that go, I don't want to risk getting hurt before the draft. So something else is kind of removed in that regard.
Playoffs?
Let us know about Benjamin Morrison as soon as you guys can in the chat, because I'm pretty sure he's still out. Yeah, he's injured. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Jaco. No, he's injured. I thought it was season ending, and he's been out pretty much. He got hurt early in the year, which probably why his draft stock hasn't taken much of a hit. Plenty of time to be ready for the.
Yeah, that's where you want to get hurt, right? If you're going into the draft, if it's going to happen. I would hope it happened early.
Yeah. You got Jahdae Barron from Texas. So in that Texas game, again, when was that Texas kickoff? Do you remember, Tim? I already closed it.
I think that was the –
yeah, that's the early one, 1 o'clock, yeah. So look for Texas corner Jahdae Barron if you guys want to check and see if he's playing or not. All right? Texas cornerback, Jahdaebarron, Jahdae Barron. All right. He'll be playing for Texas if he's healthy, I'm sure. Let's see. Yeah,
He said it was a season-ending hip injury. Yikes.
Yeah, it's dangerous, boy. Hopefully he completely recovers from that. We'll find out at the combine for sure, right?
Yeah, right.
Trey Amos, cornerback from Mississippi in the 49 spot. Kentucky Wildcat Maxwell Hairston.
Hold on, Drew D with the important questions here. Is Trey Amos related to Adrian Amos?
Ooh, that's a good question. He may be. Maybe.
Might have to do a little digging. Never know.
Yeah. All right. Maxwell Hairston for Kentucky cornerback, 62 overall. He peaked at 38. That whole Kentucky team had a down year. That's why you've seen Deion Walker drop down too. It could be reflective of those two prospects. It could. That was supposed to be the two defensive leaders for Kentucky, and they really crapped the bed this year, in my opinion, as a collective unit. Denzel Burke, here's you one, Tim. Ohio State peaked at 21, sitting at 67. See if Denzel Burke is playing today too, guys, and if so, check him out. Cornerback for Ohio State. Oregon got a pretty strong passing game, so that might be a good test. If you don't hear his name all day, that's a good thing, right? Darian Porter from Iowa State at 74. Azarehe, I think I'm saying that right. Azarehe Thomas, cornerback from Florida State in the 75 spot. LSU, Zy Alexander. Here's you another one that's playing today, Tim. Number 97 on the consensus big board at the cornerback position is Davison Igabinazon.
Nice. We'll go with that.
Yeah. Igbinosun. See if he's going to be on the field today. And then, of course, at the 101 spot, you got Dalen Everett, who's going to be playing that Georgia Notre Dame game. He's sitting in the 101 spot. So look at here. Jabbar Muhammad is going to be playing. He's in the 103 spot. He plays for Oregon. So you've got a bunch of pro prospects going to be playing in this playoff game. You should. Yeah. Unless all of them are hurt. I hope not for their sake. But that's going to be a lot of fun.
Maybe we get another secondary player from Oregon. Just like we did in the last draft.
Hey, that NFL pipeline thing, that's a real thing.
It sure
when you
is.
really start to create that bond with those coaches and they actually give you accurate information on their prospects and they're not just building them up, that can be a real asset for sure. Yeah. All right, let's see here. Sportskeeda, as Drew says, Sportskeeda says they are not related. There you go. All right, cool. I think we've covered a lot here, man. Again, just wanted to kind of dive into it a little bit and look at the consensus big board and kind of see where everything lies as it sits right now. We had a little bit of time this morning. Tonight, we're going to be talking, obviously, Packers injury report, getting ready for the Bears, all that good stuff. So just wanted to take a little bit of time today and take a peek here. What was the other – we talked O-line too, didn't we, Tim? We got a couple minutes here.
Interior O-line, I would think, right, would probably be your priority.
Yeah, and Twitter says receiver. Of course, Twitter says receiver, but they've got offensive line second. We're going to put the poll question up tonight to ask you guys what your most important offensive position is, okay? Let me write this down real quick before I forget. I apologize for those of you on the pod. I'm going to take just a second here. So we thought D tackle, and this is according to the poll question, and cornerback are the top need on defense. So I'll put the same poll question up tonight on offense for the YouTube chat so we can vote on that and see what you guys think. It might be receiver, Tim. They may be thinking, hey, let's go get a big name receiver.
Never know.
But
Coach Len in the chat says, look at West Coast players. Packers love those guys. It's true.
They sure do, man.
It's true.
Sure do. Let's take a quick look since we're kind of talking about offensive line. Let's go interior O-line and just see what we got here in terms of today. Tyler Booker for Alabama at 28. Jonah Savania, 34 for Arizona. Donovan Jackson, interior offensive lineman for Ohio State at 45. He peaked at 41. He'll be playing today, obviously. Then you got Tate Ratledge, interior offensive lineman for Georgia at the 91 spot. Look at this, Tim.
Yeah, look at this.
Wow. Jared Wilson. William and Mary Charles Grant at 113. Then at 127, Jared Wilson from Georgia. 128, Dylan Fairchild for Georgia. Georgia's got 3 interior offensive linemen that could potentially be drafted in the top 100 picks. That's insane, man. You want to know why they're so good every year? They build the trenches.
The trenches. Yep.
There's you a Texas guy at 147 at Jake Majors. So, all right, there you go. All right. Any other position you want to hit, Tim? I think we've covered it pretty good here, man.
I think that's a good start. Interesting. Mm-hmm. We already uncovered some stuff. So, yeah, keep an eye on that Georgia game, especially if you're like me and think we need a potential center here. I think it'd be cool to see how these guys stack up.
And you guys know the quarterback position shapes the draft every single year. You know, Greg Cosell, you're going to hear me quote this 1,000 times this offseason like I always do. Greg Cosell that says there's 2 drafts every April. There's the NFL draft and there's the quarterback draft. Quarterbacks are considered typically 1 tier higher than any other position. Doesn't matter. That's just they're that important. It's that important a position. The way the quarterback draft looks right now is you've got Shadur Sanders at 1, Cam Ward at 3. Keep in mind, these are the overall rankings, but we're going in order as the quarterbacks are ranking. So Shadur Sanders, top prospect. Cam Ward from Miami, number 3. Jalen Milroe, 23. He had a bad day yesterday, it sounded like, too. So we'll see what happens there from Bama. Carson Beck with Georgia, although he's not playing today, right? I'm pretty sure they're playing their backup, if I heard correctly. 43rd. Quinn Ewers at 50. The Texas plays today. I think Quinn's healthy right now. Jackson Dart for Ole Miss.
What a name for a quarterback.
Tim, we'll end with Jackson Dart. But, yeah, Jackson Dart, 94. Obviously, Ole Miss is out of it, so he won't be playing. Dylan Gabriel is sitting at the 155 spot for Oregon. He'll be playing today. Riley Leonard at 165. He'll be playing today for Notre Dame. Will Howard at 166. I don't know how young Will Howard is. I don't know if he's draft eligible or not. But you guys, like I said, do your own research on that. Let's talk Jackson Dart. He peaked at 39, right? He's sitting at 94 currently on the consensus big board. I'm going to go ahead and close that big board out and show you this, and we'll wrap up, Tim. So if we go to PFF, I think I've got it. Yeah, I've still got it.
That would be just like Goody, right? We're all screaming for a corner.
Go get a corner.
He goes and grabs a quarterback. Watch.
Listen, if he's willing to do it when Aaron's here and have a guy sit for 3 or 4 years. Again,
you talk about precedents. There's precedents for this, right?
There is. Whether we agree with it or not, there's precedent.
Right. Best time to take one is when you don't need one, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, I always point out, everybody acts like the only reason they've done that with Aaron Rodgers because he was, older. No, they did it with Brian Brom when Aaron was young. They took Brian Brom in the 2nd round. Like, if one of these guys falls, you can bet your sweet keister they're going to go get him. All right. All right. So let's see here. I want to show you this. Look at the PFF grades for quarterbacks. Let me see if I can zoom in. Well, let me zoom in. Yeah, here we go a little bit. We know where the rankings are at. I want to show you the grades too. So kind of shooting ourselves in the foot here. All right. Anyway. Jackson Dart, according to PFF, was the highest graded quarterback in college football this year at a 92.8. Cam Ward from Miami, 92.5. Christian Golov from Purdue, I don't think he's going to be in the draft, 92. Aaron Philo, 91.7 from Georgia Tech. Bo Prabula. God, these names are – what are we going to do, Tim? I'm not going to make it, man. I'm not going to make it. Bo Prabula from Penn State, 91.4. They played yesterday. You could probably go look at his stat line, go watch the tape on him if you want to see it. Bryson Daly from Army at 91.4. Brendan Lewis, 91.9. Shadur Sanders, 91.9, your top prospect right now. People are going, if Jackson Dart is a 92.8 and Shadur Sanders is a 91.1, why is Shadur the top prospect? Because PFF isn't everything. We're going to say it again, all right?
Yep.
Again, though, I'm looking for all the boxes to be checked. Good PFF grade, good tape, no off-the-field issues, all that stuff, right? The thing about
the sample size, too. Look at the sample sizes between, Dart and Ward and Shadur Sanders,
bingo.
Kyle McCord. Like, you got way more attempts. You've got way better data to base your analysis off as compared to, that Christian Gilov and, some of these guys that you're not really seeing a lot out of.
Exactly. So, again, when you look at your top quarterbacks, to me, it looks like this year's draft, it's going to be Shadur Sanders, Cam Ward, and Jackson Dart. Those are the 3 names that are going to be like up there at the top, right? According to PFF, of course. So, there you go. All right. That's it. Tim, you got anything else, man? Anything at all, buddy? We hit our mark here, I think. We're good.
Happy New Year, brother. It's been a great year. Looking forward to 2025, man. It's going to be an awesome run.
Yeah. Right back at you, man. Appreciate all your help this year. This was a lot of fun. This was when we started this thing a couple years ago. I didn't know. I thought it might last a month or two. And here we are going on. I think this is year 3, and obviously we got bringing a lot of people along for the ride. Tim, Emilio, Jacob, Carly, everybody. It's been a lot of fun, man. And I know you've been the most consistent. You're in here day in and day out, just talking ball. It doesn't feel like we're doing anything other than just a couple of buddies talking ball, and it's been absolutely awesome, man. I appreciate it.
It's been a blessing, man. It really has. And learning together as we go. I love it.
That's the big thing. All right, we are out, guys. We'll be back tonight, 7 p.m. Central for PTA Live. We'll look at the injury report, kind of get you guys set as we look ahead to the Chicago Bears. And we're going to lean on the chat a lot as we get into the backside of this year. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what y'all want to talk about. So, Daryl, hey, right there, finally made it to the morning show. LOL, appreciate you, Daryl. We know you're always watching, man. I know the schedule's a little crazy. We appreciate you tuning in. Drew D, happy New Year's. Go Pack, go. Drew, happy New Year to you, buddy. Let's see here. Carl K says PTA is the best in 50 years. All right, my man. All right, been tuning into a lot over the years. Appreciate you, Carl. Appreciate you saying that for sure. We're out. See y'all tonight, everybody.
Hey, let's real quick before we bounce. Let's thank Mike Hebring for the super chat. Thank you very much twice.
Yep.
And also shout out to Cannonball John. Some nice words here. Thanks, Clayton and Tim, for making these games today of good value for us. It's true. That was awesome. Little not the deepest of dives, but deep enough that you can watch these games and keep your eye on some of these guys. That was
Here's
awesome.
The thing, man. Put it on the big screen. Put your laptop in your on the table and pull up that consensus big board so you got a quick refresh of, all right, what prospects are we looking at here, right? And a big thank you again, like you said, Tim. Thank you for bringing that up. Mike Ebring with the big dono. Appreciate that, Mike. You're the man. So everybody have a great day. Happy New Year. Get hydrated. Some of you knuckleheads, I know what you did last night. I'm not stupid.
I got the water. Let's go.
Yeah, get hydrated. We'll see y'all tonight, 7 p.m. Central. Have a great day.
And we go. We out.
Bye, guys.